Hello, everybody. My name is Doreen, and you are watching a recording of the content in this Writing Hub workshop titled Research Proposals 101. All right, so in today's presentation, today's content, the main goals are to reflect on your own past experiences, and then we're going to take a deeper look at deconstructing a research proposal by thinking about genre and audience. So really trying to think about research proposals as a specific type of writing with specific types of expectations that your audience may have. And in this workshop, I'll incorporate a lot of free writing and discussion exercises in which you can take down some notes on your own writing project and hopefully convert those notes into parts of your own research proposal. All right, so reflecting and thinking about your past experiences. So feel free to think through these questions and take down some notes if you would like. So the purpose of this exercise is to really think about how your previous experiences have provided you with some lessons or tips, strategies that you think you learned and you want to continue using. So first, have you worked on a research proposal before? What was the experience like? 2, what were some challenges that you faced? And 3, what were some strategies that worked well for you? Any tips or tricks that you can share or that you can take with you as you develop any future proposal projects? All right, so let's take a closer look at what is a research proposal. So let's think about the research proposal as a type of writing with specific genre conventions. So let me just ask you, what do you think people, like a reader, would expect from a research proposal? Now, one way to think about this or to answer that question is to consider a research proposal as containing a meaningful research puzzle that you can feasibly address and work on now. And today we're going to focus a bit more on the meaningful or significance aspects, the research puzzle, research question aspects, and the feasibility or capability aspect, since that may depend greatly on the topic or the project itself. We're not going to focus so much on that as we will focus on the meaning and research puzzle. All right, so how do we construct and present an interesting research question, which are basically some intellectual inquiries that you may have and you want to address through your research process? So one way to think about it is to create a research space. So establishing the overall big territory, the ground of academic literatures, the broad research topics that you are interested in, and then establishing a niche, a specific smaller area that you're interested in, and occupy that niche. So you can also think about this like you are joining a conversation among different scholars and you are contributing your own ideas and your own arguments. You may be interjecting or providing some kind of intervention into that academic scholarly conversation within a broader research territory. All right, so how do we do that? Well, let's brainstorm some ways by doing some free writing. Just casually write down some notes for yourself. So first, you can think about completing these sentences up here or just jotting down some notes that help you answer these questions. So some broad research topics that I'm interested in are A, B, and C. These topics are important and interesting because of such reasons, X and Y. And relating to these topics, my specific research puzzle or question that I have is blah, blah, blah. So, for example, perhaps you're interested in the broad research topics of gender and race and immigration, or you may be interested in healthcare disparities among various populations. And maybe those topics are important and interesting to you because of a few reasons. And within that broad research topics or topic, within that broad research territory, your specific research puzzle or question is ... All right, so types of research puzzles. So here are some common ways that people use to consider their own research puzzles and phrase their research questions. So one could be, there are some contradictions in the data. So perhaps some scholars produced some research results that say this, but other scholars disagree. So now there are these contradictions that are important in such ways. Second, there may be some gaps in the literature. So we don't fully understand this aspect and we don't really know everything about these topics. Three, there may be new opportunities, right? So perhaps this could be a field of research that is underdeveloped or often overlooked. So this means that you want to take on this opportunity and develop some new angles. The four, there perhaps may be some problematic assumptions that you believe are incorrect based on some speculations or data that you have already collected. And lastly, maybe there are some interesting intersections or relations that people have not yet fully parsed out. So maybe you are interested in the relations of how gender and race matter for healthcare, or how gender and race intersect in higher education. And there may be some interesting relations or puzzles there that you are interested in finding out. All right, so another free writing exercise to help you brainstorm some ideas are here. But first, my research question is important and interesting because of reasons A and B. Some reasons why we have not yet fully addressed this puzzle are X and Y. I will address this research puzzle by doing these things, and my proposed project will effectively and successfully address this issue because blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's because you're using some different methods or you're using some new technology to really answer this research question. Whatever that is, try to think through these ideas. All right, now let's move on to thinking about the meaning, the significance of your research puzzle. And let's think about this in terms of your audience and how you might appeal to this audience and really make it clear to them that what you're doing is super important and will benefit all of humankind in a few interesting ways. All right, so the audience. So a research proposal a research proposal that you're writing may depend or may look different depending on who is going to read this proposal. So, for example, if you are writing a proposal for a seminar that is mostly composed of people in your discipline, that may be different than a proposal you're writing for IRB approval, which may also be different than a proposal you're writing for a grant or fellowship. And depending on the nature of the grant or the fellowship committee, perhaps you may be facing an interdisciplinary audience that knows quite little about your study, or you may be writing to a grant or fellowship committee of experts. Right, so let's think about who your audience is. Who is your audience? What do they already know? What do they need to know? And what would persuade them to believe you and really understand why you are doing this research and why it is so important for you to finish and conduct this research? And bonus, if you're applying to a grant or fellowship, what would persuade them to give you free money so that you can conduct this research? All right, so another free writing exercise with the purpose of helping you think through these ideas. So the audience for my proposal might already know some things about my research questions, like this and this. However, my audience doesn't know that blah, blah, blah. This means I may need to explain blah, blah, blah. Right, and depending on your audience, you may need to be careful about explaining any jargon or academic terms and vocabulary in your proposal. Number 4, the audience should care about, bonus, fund or approve my proposed project because of reasons A and B. Now, bonus question here. So what? So why should everyone care about your project? Now, this may be an interesting question for you to think through if your project has quite a few policy implications. So if your project has some implications for everyone in society, perhaps it could really help the reader understand why it's so important for you to conduct this research if you can explain to them how your project will really benefit the knowledge and lifestyles of humankind. All right, so wrapping up what we know at this point, just to summarize some things. So research proposals explain a meaningful research puzzle that you can feasibly address, right? And I think we can agree that a research proposal typically answers these main questions. So first, what is the research puzzle? What is your intellectual inquiry? What are your research questions? And 2, how or why is the research question or research puzzle meaningful and important? 3, how will you address this puzzle? So what are your methods that you are doing, and what will you do to really make sure you answer these research questions or address this important research puzzle? 4, why will your project successfully address this? And bonus question, for those of you who are thinking about applying to grants or fellowships, other scholarships, why should the audience fund your project? And depending on the nature of your grant or fellowship application, you may need to write some material about how will you use the funds to effectively address your research question. All right, so these are the main questions, the main expectations that a research proposal may include. Now, lastly, as we get to the end of the content in this workshop, I'd like you to reflect and share or just consider some next steps that you want to take to further develop your research proposal project. So what do you think you need to do next? All right, so lastly, we want to emphasize that the writing process is not a isolated or alienating process. While it may seem that way, you don't have to do all of this alone. So here at the Writing Hub, we provide consultations, and we definitely encourage people to schedule consultations. And you can do so by using the Writing Hub website and scheduling an appointment online. And these consultations will take place virtually, and all of us grad consultants are really happy to work with you at any stage of your writing process. We also encourage people to attend the daily writing rooms, which take place virtually every weekday. There are also various other workshops for grad students and writing retreats that are designed to help grad students make progress consistently. So definitely, you do not have to do this alone, and we really encourage people to make use of these services that we offer for all grad students. So thank you so much for your attention and participation in the Writing Hub services. Thank you for listening to this presentation recorded for content from the research proposal workshop. And we wish you good luck and happy writing in all of your projects. So good luck and enjoy the rest of your day.